Mr. President, first of all, thank you for accepting our kind and humble asking for a short interview with you.
Great pleasure.
And, thank you. And it is for our NOC TV. Actually, this is the project that starts with support of Olympic Solidarity. And we are broadcasting the National Sport Federations, Champions Leagues, and every competition that they have, free of charge, of course. And we are happy that this is because of the funding from the Olympic Solidarity, from the International Olympic Committee, from you as well. And allow me to say thank you for this kind of support. And we can start now with the real work. And we're facing actually with challenging times. And many things happened around the International Sport Federation, as well as the National Olympic Committees, organizing committees of the Olympic Games. We have the issues with doping still, and I remember one statement from the previous President Jacques Roch: the more positive cases we have in sport, better for sport, that we have control over bad guys, let's say. Do you think that, I know that IOC is working on this level, if I may say so, in a sixth gear. Do you think there is still space for improvement of this let's say, pressure on all the stakeholders in the Olympic movement to work more and better for the benefit of sport?
Well, the fight against doping has entered into a new era with a strengthening of the positioning of WADA, and by the delegation of all the anti-doping issues from the IOC to the independent agency, the ITA, and on the other hand for the sanctioning to CAS. In this way, leading by example for many international federations and other sports organizers, so that there cannot be even more the perception of a conflict of interest. And you can see from the results of the recent Olympic Games, both in Tokyo as well as in Beijing, that this independence, that this strengthening of the fight against doping by more investigation, for which the IOC greatly contributed, by more research, for which the IOC greatly contributed, that with all these major steps, indeed, we have made great progress.
As we all know, the harmonization of national and international legislation in the field of doping is a challenging moment.
International harmonization of any legal issues is a challenge, but this is first of all, with regard to doping, is the challenge for the sports authorities, and there the governments can only help and assist, but this is a rule of sport, the anti-doping, and that means that also in the first line the sports organizations are responsible to have their rule respected.
You mentioned the governments, and we all know that sport is a very attractive field, where the politicians or the government in this regard is, and their interest of sport is understandable, and we know that they put some governments that have more involvement, I would say, in the micromanagement of the National Federation of the Sport Clubs and the NOCs. And in this regard, of course, NOCs must respect the Olympic Charter, but also the National Federation should respect the status of the International Sport Federation as well. And IOC is giving lots of logistical, I would say, support to the sport movement and to the Olympic sport organization on this level.
International sport can only function if everybody is respecting the same rules worldwide, and if these rules are set by the governing bodies of sport. Governments would never agree on rules applicable in all 206 national Olympic committees. And for all these reasons, there sport and the National Olympic Committees need, on the one hand, their autonomy. That means the governments have to respect that the rules of sport are being set by the sports organizations. On the other hand, of course, everybody has to respect then the laws of a country. This, on the other hand, means that the governments are respecting this autonomy, and that we in the sports movement acknowledge that in order to develop sport, we need good cooperation with the governments to make sport happen from the schools and across all generations. Just to give one example, to have there enough research in sports medicine, and there on the other hand the sport can contribute to health. So it must be a good and close cooperation in mutual respect for the responsibilities. We have to respect the responsibilities of government. We have to exercise this autonomy in a responsible way, and the governments have to respect this responsible autonomy of the sports organizations.
That is most probably the key for the success of sport, to have responsible government with responsible national federation and national Olympic committee in the scope of the responsible autonomy and, I would say, good and responsible governance of all stakeholders on national and international level. Yesterday you had a meeting all day, I would say, very busy agenda with the NOC of North Macedonia, with the President Daniel Limevski. You pay a visit for the Olympic Games, the municipalities of Butel, and then you had a visit with a meeting with the President of the state as well. And one of the most important moments for the Macedonian sport, I would say, the opening of the first sport medicine laboratory for high sport performances, which is donation by you as IOC President, by the Olympic Solidarity and by the European Olympic Committees. And this is very crucial because science and sport is maybe the basic foundation between many other foundations of sport or top level sport results. And how do you think that everything was not only organized, but are you satisfied with the result that the NOC of North Macedonia did in this regard?
There were two moments yesterday which for me represent the successful work of the NOC of North Macedonia. The one was the meeting with the kids in the morning at Olympic Day to see what the Olympic spirit means and to see in the eyes of these kids, in the glaring eyes of these kids, the joy of sport and how much they were engaged and enthusiastic celebrating Olympic Day together. And spending some time with them was really a great time, and I will not forget these moments. And the second moment was indeed the opening there of the center and the laboratory, because this is a demonstration how the NOC of North Macedonia is working on a really world-class level. Not many NOCs in the world have such facilities and have such an equipment to support their elite athletes in the analysis of their performances, in rehabilitation, in all the aspects. An athlete needs to be supported to make it to the top level, so I can only say congratulations.
At the end, I would just mention that not only this sport medicine laboratory, but also lots of other programs through the International Olympic Committee and with support of Olympic Solidarity that you're supporting our athletes. And I would say that maybe this is not a good information, but 100%, maybe sometimes of the budget of one athlete is covered by the Olympic scholarship from the International Olympic Committee and Olympic Solidarity. At the end of this very, very joyful, I would say, conversation with you, I would ask you one thing about the maybe future organization of one, I would say, multilateral, multi-sport event by the NOC of North Macedonia and by the North Macedonia. I know it's not impossible, but it's very hard to organize Olympic Games. But maybe Youth Olympic Games or European Games, after experience from yesterday, what you saw, do you think that the NOC and Republic of North Macedonia are ready for such, for organization of such a multi-sport event?
No, I'm indeed impressed of what I have seen. Again, this enthusiasm, you know, the sports loving people, this is already, you know, very much important because you want to send athletes only in countries where they are well received, where the people love to see and to host them. Then I was impressed by there are a number of facilities I saw were very modern, very well maintained, who can be used therefore sports events, also for you know, multi-sports events. And I've been told that such facilities are not only available here in Skopje, but around the country. So definitely I think it's worthwhile for the NOC to look into further steps, how to attract sports competitions to North Macedonia. You have proven to be a good organizer already with a number of them, and another number now coming also with junior handball and others. So you have a good basis, and we are in sports, so you always have to look ahead, you have to be ambitious. So have a close look at it, make up your mind, and I think everybody who has been here in North Macedonia then will appreciate such an offer coming from you.
Well, it's the best when we do our homework, and maybe with your little support we get what we want, and that is to be first of all the best possible conditions for our athletes to reach the Olympic heights, to reach the participation at the Olympic Games, to win medals as well, but also to improve our work, administration work and logistical support that we are giving not only to the athletes but also to the sport clubs, to the Nations Federation and to the IOC as well.
So go for it. The IOC is standing at your side with our solidarity programs and with all the programs available, because this is what we want to see, active and dynamic national Olympic committees who are bringing their athletes up, who are supporting their athletes, and who are making a contribution to their society through sport. So go for it.
Mr. President, thank you very much for this interview. We enjoyed very much, but we will enjoy even more in work and supporting not only the sport but also Olympic movement in our country and on global level as well. Thank you.
Thank you and all the best.